It's time now for the latest in local news. The news will begin with a road closure. City Manager Nick Ellis announces they have closed Henson Mosley Road for sewer repair. Again, it's a temporary road closure near Highway 38 intersection for necessary sewer repairs at the Emergency Medical Services EMS building. Road closure will be in effect until Friday of this week from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Motorists are advised to plan accordingly, seek alternate routes during the repair work to avoid delays, and the city is working to complete the repairs as efficiently as possible to minimize disruption to traffic. But again, that road closed momentarily, and again will be closed up until Friday, up until 4 p.m. This week, the Jesup Police Department is notified by the GBI regarding allegations involving a Jesup police officer in connection with an ongoing criminal case in another jurisdiction. In order to permit the GBI to conclude its work and to permit the Jesup Police Department to conduct its own internal affairs investigation, Chief of Police placed the officer on administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation, which is a normal process whenever allegations regarding a police officer are made. A thorough criminal investigation is expected to be conducted by the GBI. Jesup Police Department's Internal Affairs Division also conducted an internal investigation to determine whether any department policies, procedures, city ordinances, or provisions outlined by the City Employee Handbook have been violated. Jesup Police committed to transparency, accountability, and maintaining public trust, and they state they uphold the highest professional and ethical standards, remain dedicated to providing professional law enforcement services to the citizens and visitors of Jesup while ensuring the integrity of ongoing investigations. And the GBI and the Police Internal Affairs Investigation both conducting their investigations. Reminder coming up this morning on the Butch and Bob Show, we've got Wayne County School Superintendent Tony Williams. She'll be in studio. We'll be discussing a lot of topics, including the upcoming 3 projects, the building of an ROTC building, building of a new ag center, and a new weight room. That and more topics this morning on the world famous Butch and Bob Show. Again, our special guest, Wayne County School Superintendent Tony Williams. We'll be back with more news after this word from our sponsor, other commercial messages, so please stay tuned. In other news, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp's top priority in the 2025 legislature got a little closer to the finish line on Tuesday after a state panel signed off on a bill intended to limit lawsuit damage awards. House Subcommittee on Rules on Lawsuit Reform passed Senate Bill 68 in a contentious vote Tuesday afternoon, clearing the path for the bills dedicated to overhauling Georgia's civil litigation landscape to advance to the Georgia House after weeks of debate over the Kemp-backed legislation. The tort legislation is now moving quickly with a full state House vote on track as soon as today. The 2025 legislative session ends on April the 4th. Senate President Pro Tem John F. Kennedy, a Macon Republican who's sponsoring the bill, reiterated his claim that the legislation is aimed at restoring balance between plaintiffs and defendants in Georgia's civil courtrooms during the committee's 5th and final planned hearing on the bill. Though Kennedy repeatedly resisted proposed amendments to the bill as it passed through the Senate committee, the version that passed the House Rules Committee did contain a few minor changes, including one that marginally increased protections for sex trafficking survivors. Survivors of human trafficking have been some of the most prominent voices against the governor's bill, holding multiple protests at the Capitol to sound the alarm about aspects of the bill they say could shield businesses from accountability and prevent nearly all victims from receiving justice through the courts. Kennedy tried to assure some of their concerns that the damage limits will hold businesses like extended hotels less accountable if the jury finds property managers and owners enabled the activity, claiming that the intention of Senate Bill 68 is not to harbor, enable, or turn a blind eye in any regard to such grotesque activity and conduct. House Republicans applauded the committee's passage of the bill, with Speaker John Burns reiterating his support for Kemp's legislation. Burns says each provision included in the bill has been meticulously crafted to ensure fairness for Georgia's businesses and citizens alike. Burns says he's looking forward to the bill's passage this week, and that final vote and passage should take place as early as this afternoon. Again, the legislative session ends in Atlanta on April the 4th, and here in Wayne County, the Chamber of Commerce gearing for their post-legislative luncheon. That is scheduled for April 22nd at Coastal Pies Technical College from 11 to 1. Tickets are on sale now at the Chamber of Commerce office. They're $30 for members and $40 for non-members, but everyone is invited to come hear from State Representative Stephen Meeks and Buddy DeLoach and State Senator Blake Tillery, as they will be the guest speakers to recap the legislative session, discuss the highs and lows, and talk about what bills did not pass and were left on the table for the next legislative session. Once again, that post-legislative luncheon here in Wayne County at Coastal Pies Technical College. Once again, the date, April 22nd. If you need tickets or more information, call the Chamber at 912-427-2028. We'll be back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor, the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes in news. City Jesup Commissioners met Tuesday for their regular scheduled meeting, and on a 6-0 vote, the Commissioners approved the bid to complete the East Jesup Sewer Project. Bid came in at $11.4 million, and the Commissioners are pleased that they now believe they have the funding to complete the project. As when it was first discussed and looked at, it was in the neighborhood of $25 million. City manager, mayor, and council again on Tuesday praised the work of their city employees and the infrastructural committee they put together, which included Commissioners Mike Deal and Pam Schuman. Employees Patrick Martin and Anthony Crawford were mentioned, along with help from our legislators, as Representative Stephen Meeks and State Senator Blake Tillery were able to find $4 million in the state budget to help with the project. IDA Director Del Keith and the IDA played a major part, and again, a teamwork effort has brought a $25 million project down to around $11 million. The vote accepted on Tuesday. Again, the project bid will go a long way to see that the project is now completed. And again, the city of Jesup was hoping to have their retreat by the end of this month, but again, due to scheduling conflicts, they still have to be rescheduled sometime in April. And finally, in the news, if you see a lot of emergency vehicles and hear a lot of sirens around 2 o'clock this afternoon near the fairgrounds and the hospital, again, there's no cause for alarm. As EMA Director Donnie Ray says, this is a routine exercise to help improve the emergency response time here in Wayne County. Once again, this is a coordinated training exercise taking place today. It's not an actual emergency situation, so again, keep that in mind this afternoon when you see all the emergency vehicles around Jesup at 2 p.m. and hear all the sirens. Again, it's just a routine exercise being conducted. That's going to do it for the latest in local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan, have a great day.